All right, the time is 4 o'clock. I will call the City of Fort Atkinson Plan Commission meeting to order on Tuesday, May 12th, in person and via Zoom. Roll call.
Chairperson Manager Hausman,
Here.
Council Representative Huckabee,
Here.
Commissioner Shull,
Here.
Commissioner Ciccarelli,
Here.
Commissioner Schultz,
Here.
Director of Public Works Nathan.
Here.
All right, thank you. And welcome to our new members, Council Representative Peggy Huckabee and our new resident Representative Eric Schultz. So thank you for joining us tonight. First item under new business is review and possible action relating to the minutes of the April 28th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or comments by anyone? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Moving on, we have item 3B. We have a public hearing tonight. We have a public hearing relating to a conditional use permit for a request for a seasonal outdoor patio to be located at 201 South Main Street in the downtown historic mixed use zoning district. We will go ahead and receive the report to the Plan Commission from Neighborhood and Building Services Director Drager, and then open the public hearing. So, Mr.
Okay.
Drager.
Thank you. So I'll start off. This is covered under two different chapters. So we will be reviewing the zoning aspect of this, but it's also covered in Chapter 6 for licensing of alcoholic beverages. It's known as temporary outdoor sales in the zoning ordinance, and it's also a sidewalk cafe for alcohol sales in the Chapter 6. So that'll be visited. I'm just pointing that out because it'll be thoroughly vetted through that process as well for the use and time frame and everything for that sidewalk cafe. We'll be looking at the design itself and the space available and what they're requesting as part of this public hearing portion. But as it's a public hearing, all those points can be discussed as part of that. What triggers the conditional use permit from the zoning aspect of this is as a temporary outdoor sales is allowed for 90 calendar days. If you want to exceed that, then you need to go through a conditional use permit process to exceed those 90 days. So here we stand. They do also want to point out that the applicants have shown themselves to be responsible business owners. They also operate a similar outside serving area with 1062. One of the questions that came up with this process is the security. These fence panels will not be mounted to the ground. So it was brought up if there's any concerns with security or theft, and it was expressed that they've had no issues with the other area, which is in an alley and out of sight in most of the time of the day. So I do want to point that out. So moving on. So there are some parts of during discussion that need to be discussed, when it comes to the comprehensive plan, and those have to do with being in harmony with comprehensive plan, substantial or undue adverse impact. All those questions staff feel that are being accomplished here, and that this request is meeting that. So I do want to point out as well that did point out that one. Sorry, getting a little mixed around with my sheet here. I already mentioned all those things. So we'll go to the design portion of this. Back to that, the sidewalk has been recently replaced by the applicants. Pad Shack replaced that whole section of sidewalk out there. I would imagine in anticipation of this, but also to make it look nice. The seating area would be outside, would be on the north side of the building along Sherman Avenue, or Milwaukee Avenue, excuse me, with the outdoor seating, as you can see. Now, this is not an exact replica, but they would be very similar. I don't believe they've just chosen the exact panels yet, or I haven't seen the exact ones, but this is pretty close to what they're planning. As I said, they will not be mounted to the floor, to the ground. They'll be removable for the season. So when snow removal comes necessary, that they'll be removed, and that way it makes it easier to clear the sidewalk area. There's adequate access going through the opening there for ingress and egress out of the building. And then as part of this, part of that Chapter 6 question, the building owners are required to supervise the area and then follow serving times that go along with their permit. With that, staff does find that this is in in unison with the comprehensive plan. And I'll leave it up there for the public hearing and take any questions after that if you may have them.
This is just the public hearing tonight.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing relating to this request for a conditional use permit for seasonal outdoor patio. Second call for anyone wishing to speak about this seasonal outdoor patio. Third and final call. Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. For informational purposes, this will come back to the Plan Commission in 2 weeks for an additional review, as is the part of the process from our zoning ordinance. So public hearing, and then 2 weeks later, it will be back on the agenda for discussion amongst the Plan Commission and action. There will not be an opportunity for public comment or public hearing at that meeting. It will just be for review, discussion, and action by the Plan Commission. All right, moving on to item 3C is review and possible recommendation to the City Council relating to a request for a zoning map amendment for the property located at 550 McMillan Street. The parcels are listed on the agenda from institutional zoning to multifamily residential 30. Mr. Dreyer.
All right, thank you. I do want to point out that this proposal did hold a public hearing, or excuse me, this Plan Commission on April 28th, where we did have comments from the neighborhood. I do also want to point out, in case you weren't in attendance, the developer held a neighborhood meeting for local residents to come and have an open discussion about it, which I feel it was a good conversation and a lot of questions were answered there. Going with that, a lot of those questions to start off with pertain to traffic and stormwater, as well as pedestrian travel in the area. And I do feel that those were addressed during that meeting. But back to the proposal here. The proposal is for a zoning map amendment. As we know, this is currently zoned as institutional, and their request is to change the zoning to MRH 30, which will allow for a maximum density of 50 units per acre. However, that is not what the proposal that we have in front of us, but we are reviewing this as a zoning map amendment, as we have not had a formal application for the site plan review and development yet. So this is just for the zoning itself. So I do want to point out that it does allow for that per acreage. Now, I do not anticipate that that would fit on there, given the stormwater management rules that we have through the DNR. But anyways, moving on from there. Along with this, the proposal, as you see here, is for 4 separate 24-unit buildings for a total of 96 units, which is a fair amount less than what the MRH 30 would allow for, but our next zoning down from that does not accommodate this amount. So this is why the request for the MRH 30. Like I said, that's a total of 96 units that would have underground parking along with that, as well as surface parking. Their proposal also has 2 access points onto the property. But switching over to that zoning, it is required to meet the bulk standards for MRH 30 as far as density. Both of the lots, the bulk lots, if they were combined, which would be required through CSM as part of any proposal, would meet those requirements. The main portion of the property does meet the requirement, except for the small sliver of land between the larger portion going over to McMillan. That one does not meet the overall square footage, but as I said, any proposal would be required to combine these by CSM. I do also want to point out any proposal for this probably go through a site plan review, and then for multiple buildings would also go through the conditional use permit review, which is a lot of reviews. But that's not a bad thing. That means that everything's going to be covered and reviewed as far as engineering, stormwater, and everything impacted there. So staff has reviewed this. The Plan Commission, or excuse me, not the Plan Commission, but the comprehensive plan does show this as planned mixed use. And this proposal of switching to MRH 30 would be in line with the comprehensive plan as far as that proposal goes. And with that, I would open myself for any questions, but staff does recommend the Plan Commission recommend the City Council approve the zoning map amendment for the property located at 550 McMillan Street.
We'll just point out a couple of things quick. The traffic study that was requested by the developer is included in the packet for today's meeting. And also a summary of the information requested and or comments from the public meeting on the 28th, the public hearing, excuse me, on the 28th is also included in the packet. So does the Plan Commission have any questions for Mr. Drager on this request?
Not for the zoning map amendment per se. I noticed that the traffic study examined the two originally proposed access points, the Handley Side extension and Schumacher Way. And I wonder whether any consideration was given to possibly making the south connection Memorial instead of Schumacher. I know I heard from at least one resident who bought a house on Schumacher thinking that it was going to be a quiet dead-end street forever, and was a little surprised, to say the least, to find out that that would not be the case. So that was just a question for traffic distribution. The trip generation is in the study, but the trip distribution would presumably change a little bit if Memorial instead of Schumacher were connected. This is not a zoning map amendment question.
No, that's a fair ask. I don't know that it was considered, given that there's private property in between the access of Memorial and this lot for doing traffic study for that location. I do know they did the surrounding area, and then as far as Schumacher, that was always designed, and that's why it dead ends the way it does to enable future development.
Any questions about the zoning map amendment for Mr. Drager? Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thanks.
All right, in order for discussion to occur amongst the Plan Commission, I would entertain a motion to recommend the City Council approve the zoning map amendment. Doesn't mean we'll vote right away. That just, I would entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion amongst the Plan Commission on that.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second now on the floor to recommend approval of the zoning map amendment to the City Council. Discussion amongst the Plan Commission members.
I've walked the site. I've talked with some neighbors, and it's really a golden opportunity to add some housing. It's not a zoning map amendment thing, but I think when it comes for site plan review, the developer's already shown great cooperation connecting with the neighborhood for their comment. And I'm sure that the site plan, once finalized, can do the right thing as good as it can for the south side neighbors and the north side neighbors. That said, I'm in support.
I will say this is a very attractive project. We'll add some much needed housing in the city here, and certainly a unused parking lot is certainly not the highest and best use of the property. Other discussion amongst the Plan Commission on this matter? Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. This will be on the City Council agenda next week, Tuesday, for a first reading. All right, moving on, item 3D. It's agendized as site plan review for the Jones Dairy Farm wastewater treatment facility, but this body already approved that treatment facility. So this is actually their south addition. So I apologize for the error on the agenda there. All the materials in the packet are accurate. And with that, I'd have Mr. Drager present the staff report.
Thank you. Yeah, our system has some kinks to work out when you're transferring information over from one to the next. As you'll see in some of my in our graph down there below, where you're seeing highlighted at 38 feet for maximum building height, I mean, it's meeting that requirement, and then one of the parts where it's not quite meeting the requirement didn't get highlighted as it was when I was reviewing it. So not sure how that happened. Like I said, some kinks in there. Anyway, moving on. So as mentioned before, This plan commission did just approve a site plan review for the site across the street to the north from here for a wastewater pretreatment plant, which has started construction today. This is for the building to the south, I should say southeast portion of the building. And relative to the whole site, it is a relatively small addition, even at the 8,400 square feet. Some discussion did go back and forth with the applicants and city staff as far as meeting the materials on the outside of the building. Overall, coming down to 15, almost 20% of Class 1 materials. And then along with some insulated metal panels, which staff learned through just those discussions that these are very important for this addition for food prep facilities. And then going on to that, I do want to further say that Jones, this is another future or further development and investment in our community from Jones Dairy, which is very welcomed. This will be for production of two additional lines of production, which apparently sounds like they are in high need of that, which is great. So, but going back onto those bulk requirements, it's meeting all those requirements except for a minimum side setback. Which when in relation to the rest of the building and the current setbacks seems to be pretty minor. There are several different quantities there depending on how you want to look at it since the building is slightly askew. But other than that, it's meeting all those other standards except for landscaping as well. With this type of addition and where it's located at, landscaping's not easily added to this location, given that's all surrounded by pavement and will continue to be. So staff did notice, make some comments in the staff memo pertaining to that as well. So with that, staff does recommend an approval of the site plan. I should say also it is in unison with the comprehensive plan, but staff does recommend approval of the site plan as proposed with the following recommendations, which we add 140 landscaping points to the property of the corner of Rockwell and Janesville Avenue. There's some additional or existing landscaping there, and the point total is not that much. Waive the required 50 feet setback and permit the alignment with the existing structure. Waive the required screening of the building mechanicals. Require the applicant record an easement document subject to staff review. And then anything else the Plan Commission would like to add. And welcome any questions you may have for me.
Questions for Mr. Drager on this matter?
On the figure that's currently displayed, there are three small objects at ground level. I understand the consideration about screening the rooftop mechanicals, and I'm fine with that. But I'm wondering what those are and whether there's any screening consideration applies to those, being as the trail is adjacent.
Yes, as far as I know what types of exact equipment there are, I do not know. But there is no screening proposed for the site.
I mean, there's a fence there.
There's an existing fence, yes.
Yeah, and so they will be screened from the existing fence, from the bike trail.
And there's an existing drive path through there and everything else. So just adding screening there did not seem to be beneficial.
Other questions for Mr. Drager on this?
Chad, you had mentioned the sanitary easement that is shown below here. Have we received these documents regarding that easement yet?
I believe they're still working on those. Those would be a part of this condition. I guess I didn't mention that too much. Yeah, that's a good point. The city staff worked with the applicant and Jones Dairy to reduce some of the easement requirements there to allow for this building addition. And then working with Public Works and city staff, finding a setback amount that accommodated any repairs that need to be done there, but also accommodated the building addition. But to your point, that easement document would be, I believe, is being made and would be delivered to the cities.
Great, thank you.
Jed, can you give us some context relating to the 140 landscape points? I mean, I think a tree is 250, correct?
Yes, it's just a simple point total. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just adding up those actual amounts and to be consistent with all their other approvals, requiring the landscape is consistent with everything else. But yes, to your point, yeah, a decent sized tree usually will accommodate this point total for sure.
Or other things, other smaller landscape items that would add up to 140.
I'm
So-
glad you asked that because I was about to.
Yeah, it's a minimal amount. It really is. But as I said, we're to be consistent. That's why we include that. even though, the building addition itself doesn't really accommodate landscaping for the area, but.
All right, other questions for Mr. Drager? All right, I would entertain a motion for further discussion amongst the Plan Commission then.
So moved.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the site plan subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report that include the 140 landscaping points, waiving the 50-foot setback requirement, the waiving the screening of the building mechanicals, and requiring the applicant to record the sanitary sewer easement document, subject to those conditions as outlined in the staff report.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there a discussion amongst the Plan Commission on this matter?
Just that it's great to see expansion.
Yeah,
As we saw McCain go down and NASCO, and so this is very good.
Yeah, this is a fantastic investment. It seems like a relatively small size-wise addition, but it opens up a lot of additional productivity for Jones. So we're very pleased that they continue to invest in our community, and we are happy to do things such as move easements to accommodate their future growth. So without additional, Commissioner Schull, did you have anything to add?
No, I did not.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Thank you. Item 3E is a presentation to the Plan Commission from Pelton Builders for a concept plan for a multifamily housing project proposed at 1911 Janesville Avenue. Mr. Drager.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we've seen a couple of these come forward, so this is also equally exciting to see a proposal or a concept, I should say. As you can see on our screen here for, I believe it'd be a two-phase project here with multiple buildings on each phase with up to 112 units over the course of those two phases. So there'll be 16 unit buildings. These would be more of a garden style walk up, which is appropriate for this area, which is currently zoned rural holding. So this proposal would require a zoning map amendment. There would be a CSM because there's a existing single family residence on this property would have to be separated because I believe that is intended to stay, as well as group development for the multiple buildings on one side or on one site. So it'll be a conditional use permit as well. As I said, this site here is located right across from the Clement Business Park. It'd be directly west of that entrance. It is vacant land except for that single family residence. And I said, this as far as the site plan goes, has not been thoroughly vetted for stormwater or any of those one of those items that would come forward with that site plan review and the conditional use permit for the group development. This is merely a concept where the developer is looking for feedback from the Plan Commission on what they're thinking and what they're going to propose. And I welcome any questions there, but there is some availability for access to the bike path there. So there's lots of ideas that could come from this area. But as I do want to point that out one more time. This is just the concept plan. We have not reviewed all those aspects. So with that, I'll welcome any questions that you may have for this. But as I said, this is a welcome proposal with more residential units, which are in high need for our area. And overall, it's an attractive looking project.
So where the cursor is right now, that's where the house is, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so they're going to have quite a bit of land reserved for them.
Yes. I have the acreage in here somewhere, but we do have representatives here from Pelton as well.
Okay.
I have a number of observations, just initial observations. I realize it's early days for the concept. Some of these are going to be kind of trafficy, nitpicky. First one is proximity of the main entrance to Commerce Parkway intersection. It seems rather close and that it's going to create a coupled intersection. That's a concern. I wonder whether the future section of Janesville Avenue wants to be 3 lanes there instead of 2 to accommodate that. So that's just the beginning of a thought about how that would work. I'm concerned about the main access going between the two buildings close to that driveway because there's perpendicular parking there. And I could see times, peak times of day where people are trying to get in and out and people are backing in these parking spaces. So the thought was, and I understand now that the center part, which shows no buildings, is the house that wants to stay there. But I wondered about rotating those two buildings so that their parking is on the center north-south drive aisle instead of facing each other, so that the drive in and drive out would be unencumbered by parking movements. I think when we get to site plan review, there's all sorts of ways to connect to the Glacial River Trail. It's a huge asset for um, this project. I would like to see a direct connection, perhaps at the north edge between the trail and the Commerce Parkway intersection for people to get back and forth for access to the business park. I think that the project can tie into that, but the access from the residential buildings to the trail, which there's all sorts of ways to do it, is sort of independent of the need to get directly from the trail to Commerce Parkway. Also in that vicinity, not related to the project, is Allen Creek. And Allen Creek, I think, is at least mentioned in the current comprehensive outdoor recreation plan as a possible trail corridor. It has a potential of being a real asset, both recreational and just contemplational, as well as transportational between the trail, Janesville Avenue, and perhaps Pepple Road. So that's not on this property or immediately adjacent to it, but it is something that if it ever gets developed and built would be a real asset for the residents here, as well as another way to get across to and from Clement Business Park. And that's, the other was the initial description mentioned the required square footage of outdoor space to serve the residents on site. And I wondered whether, and now I think it's impractical, before I realized that the big parcel in the middle there is for the house, I wondered about moving 4 buildings along Janesville Avenue, leaving only 2 in back so that the acreage for the internal green space would be adjacent to the trail rather than adjacent to Janesville Avenue. But I see that may be impractical.
All right, thank you. Other feedback from the Plan Commission on the concept? I will just mention that I think this is a location that is ripe for development. It's very close to the intersection of Business 26 and the bypass, the Highway 26 bypass, making it a prime location for folks who both work in the city and work outside of the city. So I think this is a great use of of land and more options for housing in the city. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you to the Plan Commission for your feedback, and we will move on. So I guess just other items, as Mr. Drager said, there will be if the project moves forward, there will be a zoning map amendment, and then likely either a conditional use permit for a group development or a planned unit development, depending on what the site plan ends up looking like. So again, lots more opportunity for input and feedback and public hearings to hear from the public as well on that. So item 3F is the presentation of the Plan Commission relating to the Browns Court Apartment Concept Plan proposed at 311 South Main Street. Mr. Drager.
Oh, yes. All right, so perfect one to start with. That's the existing building that's on the site. So this is another exciting proposal coming forward. As you'll see in the staff report, a comment about it's not all that frequent that we get a proposal for redevelopment in this area. This is the downtown peripheral mixed use area, which is just off of the downtown historic mixed use, but is shown on the comprehensive plan as downtown. So very similar when it comes to what the comprehensive plan is looking for. This concept here would be a proposal for three separate buildings as it currently stands with internal parking. I believe there's 18 spaces that are currently proposed. You'll see in there also there's a couple different roof lines that are being proposed, whether it's a gable roof or a shed roof style. I believe the applicant is still kind of playing with design and what they're looking for, and that's why it's here for a concept to get feedback as well. The current site is two parcels, so along with this would be a number of approvals as well. With the multiple buildings, it'd be a group development at a minimum. There's a possibility where it could be a planned unit development as well, depending on how many flexibilities are being sought. There's also CSM to combine the parcels, and then that site plan review as well as with any new construction project, which is where all the site plan criteria will be thoroughly vetted when it comes to landscaping, parking, and things of that nature. Now, this site is a little bit different when it comes to parking since it's in that where the comprehensive plan puts it as downtown, which does focus a little bit more on street parking. This area here is a little trickier than just looking at it that way. So, like I said, the site plan will be looked at thoroughly as far as it comes to all criteria of that. Being that it is also in the peripheral mixed use, it does require an element of commercial, which is being provided here. Staff kind of views the three separate buildings as a one development. Feels that it does meet the requirement for that mixed use, having that commercial element to it. But there is an opportunity, I said, for a possibility of going to a planned unit development when we start looking at the finer details of this project. As you can see, the building does have multiple units. Each of these units are compact, I should say, with a first floor and second floor on each of them stacked. It's designed to be efficient and a lower cost of rent, being it's a smaller space. As you can see, it's overall the design looks nice. There's lots of details to go through with the overall proposal, but the comprehensive plan does support this, and I would welcome any questions you may have about the project.
I just a clarifying question. So where the building is, that's one lot and the parking next to it is another lot?
Roughly, yes.
Okay, I was thinking, was it the next building over too when
No,
you said
the
that?
the
So-
parking and the existing building are two separate
separate
lots,
lots.
yep,
Okay.
which would be combined.
Okay, thank you.
I will just note a couple things. There is a kind of a building rendering, maybe not a rendering is the right word, but a building site plan concept included in the staff report that is different than this. So that might have caused a little confusion. I know when I was reviewing the staff report, I was a little confused
Yes.
because there is a picture of something different than the plans in the staff report. And I will say that is from our contracted or consulting planner, Ben Rohr, who developed a possible alternative, making it one building instead of three separate buildings.
Correct.
So,
That's the one that's in the memo, yeah.
yeah, that's included a snippet in the memo.
Yeah, there is an opportunity here with working with the applicant, if possibly reorientated the building to be more street facing. So there's the room for alternate ideas here, and I believe that's what Ben was trying to show, is that that's another possibility.
So I will just comment as far as feedback goes. This rendering is not the same as the elevations that are provided later in the packet. This rendering is preferable with the changes in materials, with the glass doors and glass patio doors, with the balcony. Those are features that I would like to see in this project versus if you scroll down a couple, Zach, you scroll down a couple where it has it looks maybe alternate materials or it looks a little bit more like a motel. So I would definitely express a preference at this concept phase, that a strong preference for different materials, differentiating unit from unit, as is shown in the rendering, as well as glass featured in the doors and or patio doors more than just solid white doors.
And I had a question too about it looks kind of like an alley behind the BP station.
Mhm.
There's a fence there. Is that an alley or is that part of personal
I
property?
believe that's part of personal property,
Okay.
not associated with this lot.
Because my only thing that went off in my head when I was looking at this was how congested it is there, especially at school when the middle school lets out.
Mhm.
And but I don't know with the residents when they're coming and going, how much that's gonna affect things.
That's fair. And I think the developer, the applicant's hope here is that this is more pedestrian oriented living rather than vehicular.
Mhm.
At the same time, as we can see in the study from the previous zoning map amendment that we saw that when it comes to residential, those times hit at various times throughout the day and not all at once. So
Mhm.
that's one encouraging thing here, but it's a valid thing to bring up for sure.
Because when I was looking, I was like, is there a way to come in the back? But there's just not. And there's telephone poles in the middle of that. Could be an alley.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely a tight site.
Mhm.
It is one that has been begging for redevelopment for quite some time. So I'm very pleased to see a concept plan move forward. Um, and I think people generally learn traffic patterns when they live someplace and maybe which times to avoid trying to get out or get in. But adding residential units to our downtown or to our near downtown assists in encouraging folks to walk around downtown and go to our businesses and eat at our restaurants and all sorts of positive economic growth for the city. Other feedback for Mr. Drager on the concept plan?
I think our city needs the smaller, more affordable too, because not everybody's married or multiple people living in a place. And this would be great getting out of high school, going to, school or
Absolutely. Something, a
Yeah.
little more variety and
Yeah.
different price points. Yeah.
another step.
Yeah, if I could just list maybe my preference, I do like the street facing, I guess, doorway as kind of presented here. The two places that I would maybe compare this to, there's a small like U-shaped, maybe like motelish look in Cambridge. And then I also compare to what I see in Wanakee, which is more like street facing apartments. And I think there's a different feel in the character of it. I would prefer more street facing, kind of maybe close to what is on page 185 in the packet, where that U-shaped opening is not facing Main Street.
Gotcha. So that would have been the, alternate
Yeah.
design offered by, yep.
And again, this is just from my own personal experience in going by those two sites often enough that there's a difference in feel of character. And I think what we'd want to see on Main Street or close to Main Street here in Fort Atkinson.
Very well. Yeah.
Additional feedback from the Plan Commission on this matter?
Just curiosity questions. There's a line of tall hedges along the south property line. Would that be part of the parcel and likely to be replaced by buildings? It's not important. I was just curious.
Yeah, I would have to wait until we see that CSM to see where those really fall on the property and then the actual proposal, if those are part of it or not.
Okay,
Our hope would be that they would maintain screening if possible, but
right. On the plan view, there's something called required ADA unit additional footprint. Could you explain?
I believe the applicant is right now they're researching what requirements that they're going to have to adhere to as far as ADA required units. So currently they are unsure of exactly how many accessible units they need, and that's what that comment is, that they don't know if they're going to need them or not.
So it's a reserve for a possible building expansion, if you will.
Correct, and I believe that plan showed them being connected for that ADA unit.
Okay. I know about ADA parking, but that was something I hadn't seen before. I know that the plan is evolving. I wondered whether the little bit of commercial could be expanded slightly to the south to give it a little more floor area in the commercial. That's, again, probably going to be superseded by the evolution of the plan. I really like the one photo visualization that you responded to, Rebecca. The feel of it is delightful. If we could have that, I think would be an attractive, not only for this site, but perhaps a model for other opportunity parcels around. I totally agree with Eric that if we can get one of the buildings to address the street directly, it does read like a motel. That's not a downer comment. It's just that's the way you build a U-shaped motel. That doesn't mean it has to read like a motel. Materials are very important, but center entrance with a U-shape of buildings opening onto the street, that's a motel architecture. And I think this is our opportunity to create the beginning of the Main Street street wall. It's possible that in the future the service station might turn over. I think higher and better use for downtown is something walkable and something that defines a block corner. That's off the table right now, but I can imagine another fine building going in next to this at the 3rd Street intersection. So yes, street wall, please.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you to the Plan Commission for your feedback on that one. Thank you, Mr. Drager, for presenting this. All right, go for it.
Knew this was coming because I'm a bike guy. The visualization showed someone on a bicycle, but there's no bicycle storage. The city doesn't currently require bicycle storage, but I think over time I'd like to see that. And it's possible to actually store a lot of bicycles in a small space with, say, vertical racks. So one thing to consider in a small project like this would be a shared bicycle closet. For example, one of the 17-foot building faces using vertical racks in a space just 4 feet deep to the wall can store 10 bicycles. So used to be my second career, bicycle infrastructure. So not required at all by city code at this point, but someone who lives here could well get around on a bike, but they're going to have to store it in their unit.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is update on previous projects. Just a couple notes. The Jones Dairy Wastewater Treatment Facility that was approved prior by this body has started foundation work on the new building, and the townhomes at Ridgeview Estates are nearing occupancy, so and almost ready for sale. The other update I'll just give you because I just went by to pick up my daughter from Luther. The 5 of the 6 houses are under construction at the Maple Grove subdivision, with the 5th or the 6th with erosion control. I believe erosion control set up, or it's at least staked. So that one is starting very soon. So it looks really nice over there with that infill project. Any other questions about previously approved items by this body?
Curious about tentative completion date for the South Main Street path.
That is October at the latest.
Late October, early November.
Okay. All right. And that, of course, is in conjunction with the South Main Street Road program, our road project, and utility infrastructure that's going in now. So whenever there's utilities involved, it generally takes a little bit longer. So, all right. Item number 4 is adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned at 4:43 p.m. Thank you.